Hello, good evening. I'm Kulsoom and all the beautiful people. I am Maham, the program lead at International College of Excellence. And today is one of our very, important and close topics to our hearts for this year, this tenure that we are right now in. Since the students are getting done with their O levels, this is the high time that they'll be deciding, they'll want to know that what should they, opt for when it comes to their colleges and their, a level 3 of education basically. So today the entire conversation is going to revolve around A levels and how can they maximize their A level success. But before I start, I would want my amazing guest for today's evening, a prolific lady, to introduce herself and her academic journey, why and when did she connect with the students of A levels and everything. And once she's done, then we'll start with our questions and everything.
Yeah, thank you so much, Maham. It's great to be, live again for the webinar. As you said, it's the right time for the students going for the examinations and all. And I apologize for the sore throat because with the exam season is going on and we're continuously talking all the day and
Yeah.
all. Maham, like previously also, I told that the journey with the students is a very long one, and dealing with students doing OA levels is also even longer. We started long back in I think 2003-4 when this qualification came to Pakistan. In fact, it is more than there. But at that time, I remember very well the IGCSE was booming in Pakistan and all. So it's a real long journey, and obviously IGCSE, O levels, A levels is one of the strongest streams, along with our local qualifications in Pakistan. And over these years, it has been a great experience knowing the qualifications, learning about how it works, the paper patterns, the awarding bodies, the examinations, model students, their challenges, and every other day, like we said earlier, also it's a learning lesson with the students and all. So that's how the journey begins, and it's going to continue, inshallah ta'ala. Yeah.
Inshallah, inshallah, ma'am. Okay. Since you know that you just mentioned we are going through the rigorous exam cycle of multiple boards right now, uh, and at this point of time, I personally think students who are done with their high school, basically their grade nines and tens, whether it's the international board or the international awarding body, or even our local qualifications as well, I would want you to explain that what is entirely A levels, what the entire concept of it, how does it work, what are the ins and out of it. So once you go through the entire concept of A levels, what is the most important information that the students need to know right now before they opt for doing it, basically?
Yeah, Maham, first of all, as we earlier said also, any qualification that the students go for, opt for, they and the parents must know what actually A levels is. When students come to us also, though a lot of you must be thinking that why do I have to explain what even A levels
Yeah.
is? But I think for a student to join after IGCSE, O levels, or metric qualification, or any other awarding body, they must know what actually A levels is. A levels is an international qualification, mostly offered by the UK boards, different boards in Pakistan, and it's a 2-year qualification. The first year is for all the new beginners and all. It's the AS. What is it called? Students can even take a single standalone AS qualification also. One they do AS, then they go to A2. There's students come to us and they say हमने A level करना है, and I say okay fine, but they should understand few things that A levels is it's 2 years program, minimum 2 years program. AS is the first one, A2 is the second one. When you complete it, that's called the A levels program. A levels is offered by obviously different boards in Pakistan. Earlier there were only 1 to 2 boards, but now there's a vast variety of boards that are offered in Pakistan, and every board has their own specifications, their own uniqueness, their own students approach and all. And very respectable all the awarding bodies in Pakistan. These have been offered. And the second important thing which the students must know, and which I always tell my team also, and like we have been discussing also,
Yeah.
the eligibility criteria of coming to A levels is something that is very important.
Yes.
Students have been facing this challenge. One of the challenges which I have faced over these years is that students, when they opt for A levels, they don't exactly know what they have to be clear on all, and what the subject combination we'll talk about later on. But any student who has done his metric, who has done his metric, and who has done his O levels or IGCSE or the IB MYP can, opt for the A level qualification, depending upon the criteria, depending upon the university acceptances later on, and depending upon his field and all. They can join the A levels program, and but one or two subjects, and if they're not able to clear and all, but that all students, they have these options, different pathways, different routes that they can opt for the A levels qualification. And one another important thing is that standalone AS is obviously it is offered worldwide. Students do take 1 year AS and then they go to the universities. But in Pakistan, a student has to get all complete 2 years of A levels to get their IBCC equivalence.
All right, ma'am. While you were mentioning, you just mentioned university acceptances and everything. So, since we know that the students after O levels will progress into A levels, level three of their qualification, and then to their university, uh, what is your insight, or what do you think is how A levels is respected globally, and how is this particular qualification helping the progression between their high school diploma and their university degree? What is the part that A levels is going to play in their journey entirely?
Yeah, I think it is one of the most important part in a student's life when it comes to A levels or other equivalent to level 3 qualifications. A levels is highly respected, highly accepted, and highly valued and recognized worldwide. We all must know, first of all, this. Every country, I think, there must be only some, maybe not even a single one that doesn't accept A levels
Yeah.
worldwide. Obviously, depending upon the boards and the university criteria and all, it's accepted worldwide because there are lots of things, there are lots of good, exceptional things which the A level students and the A level qualification offers. But in the transition, I think that's more crucial because that this is the time where where I say is that the students are filtered for their future qualification. A student doing sciences in IGCSE O levels, fine, but a student doing the other qualification, business or social sciences or law in A levels will be the transition phase where the university applications are done, where the university or the students are taken. So I think the bridge, the pathway and the progression of the A levels is the most important time where I feel, and I think the students get matured also during this time of
Yes, they
qualification.
do. Yeah.
They know what they have to do. And if you ask an IGCSE child, okay, what do you want to become? What do you want to do in future? Which university you want to progress in? Maybe he or she won't have that answer. But a university student progressing to the university, an A-level child would know, and equally the HSSC qualification students would also know that. So I think it is the most important part in a student's life is these 16 to 19 years of age, where they have to, maybe lot more for the career progression is done. Yeah.
While we talk about this, one of the most important query or a question that children have in their mind, I think, is that how does A levels work? I would want you to explain that how many subjects will a student particularly select, minimum most probably, and then while they're selecting their subjects, what challenges commonly do they face? What do you think as an educationist they need to keep in their mind? Because I personally think that their career alignment really depends on the subjects they're studying right now. A lot goes into shambles once they come towards the end of their degrees, and they know that all right, what I was foreseeing to study in my university, I can't do it because of the selection of my subjects on this particular level, right? So I want
Exactly.
you to explain the common challenges that they face. Other than this, what basically is the entire dynamic of A levels? How many subjects they need to select minimum, and the entire process, etc.
Yeah, Maham, the biggest challenge which students face is, like we discussed earlier, also is the direction where the student has to go. Any student who's done his O levels, whether that's in humanities, whether that's in ITs, in sciences, the next part comes is the selection of his subjects at the A levels. I would, reiterate if I would like to write it on my walls of my campus also, and I would tell the students that a Pakistani national student, a Pakistani national with a beautiful green passport we have, has to have 8 O-level passes. 8 O-level passes are mandatory for a Pakistani national when he or she has to opt for A levels in Pakistan, and then when you have to progress in the Pakistani universities. Now that after that depends upon the subject selection. All the counselors, all the admission officers, like a request earlier also, they have to make sure that the students, what pathway they want to take. If a student wants to do engineering, mathematics is mandatory. Mandatory, that he or she has to take mathematics. If a student has to opt for medicine, he or she has to take biology in A levels and biology maybe in O levels also. But again, that all would depend upon the subject combination, which the students' university requirements are. But three A level passes and eight O level passes are mandatory for a Pakistani student, and five O level passes, if it's a foreign, he is a foreign national or dual national, five O level passes with three A level passes are mandatory for the university progressions. But then again, say there are exceptions. There are exceptions maybe in the other countries where, like Australia, I remember a student opted for medicine. He or she need, I think she needed. I even remember her name, Isha. She needed an English language certificate at A levels for a medicine over there. So that
Yes.
subject combination also depends upon the universities where they're applying for. And like you earlier said to me, that how important this university, this A level qualification is, that is where I say, if you even have to spend months and months to guide, to counsel the students, you have to tell them that what their university choices will be. And like we at the admission office make sure ensure this, that if a student wants to apply to Pakistani universities, okay, this is the criteria you'll have to go through. And if you have to opt for a foreign university, this is the criteria that you will be required at the A levels. So I think that subject selection, that subject combination is important. Another thing that I would suggest to all my students in Pakistan, especially, is that they must opt Urdu if they can, or English as a language, can they as a fourth subject. Three subjects obviously are mandatory, but if they would like to have a fourth subject as English or Urdu as a fourth subject, that would, that's I always say that's something which you can give you an extra grade. You never know how your exams go and all. So that gives you another edge for that. Secondly, Urdu is obviously, as I said, that's an important for students who have to, but three A-level passes, depending upon the university or the career pathway they're taking, that all depends upon that subject combination which the students would opt for. Yeah.
One thing that I can sum up with the entire conversation that we had till now is that the students need to be mentally very well prepared of what they want to do even after their A levels. Because I personally think that when they're done with their O levels, to the generation that we're dealing with right now, they just know that we are just going to do A levels and then we'll see. But they're since they do not have a plan for what they're going to do afterwards, their A levels might just be very null and void in a manner. Okay, those subjects might just not matter, and at the end of the day, they might just get enrolled into any particular degree or university they just can get into for the
Hmm.
sake of completing their education.
Yeah.
So it is very necessary for them to be aligned that what they want to do once they're done with their A levels as well, because their entire A levels journey is also dependent on the degree they want to select later on.
Yeah, and Maham, a lot of students say, passion and strengths and, the trends going on. Yes, I've seen students, my friend is doing business, I would go for business. My student is
Yeah.
doing this, my friend is doing this. No, I would strongly suggest and urge my students and parents also that, yes, students must go for the passion they want. If a child is not, he's not passionate, he's not able to take sciences, do not push that child, and the child should not even go for that also. Why waste 3 4 years getting your A levels clear? It is rigorous, it is tough, and at times the students do get stuck, or we've seen those over these years. But then again, trends, there's a trend that everybody wanted in one of those things, that they wanted to go for medical. There was a trend that everybody wanted to go for
Yes.
engineering. Now everybody wants to go for AI and
Yeah.
computers. If you are not a computer interested, a computer person, programming and all, don't go for that. Just look for what you're capable of, and what you want to pursue your career in, and what are your interests, where your university can. We have seen university dropouts also because of the reasons that they're not interested for the subjects they want to opt for, the careers they want to choose. There are hundreds of careers for the students now. Not when we were young, we didn't have so many of
Yeah.
the careers. But I think subject selection, and then again, one of the things which initially, Maham, which I've also planned, and that the initial 2 weeks which the student takes for the A levels program, because it is rigorous, you have a less bit of time. Students can take an option where where they want to finalize their subject. They take the initial 2 weeks and take orientation classes in different subjects, and then they can also opt for different teachers, different subjects, and then they decide. Because if they were to say after 3 or 4 months that we want to change this subject, that wouldn't be possible, because already it's 9 to 8 to 9 months, or even lesser than the
Yeah.
study period and the exams come and all. So I think subject selection at the time of admission, or when you're choosing your A levels, is the most critical part of your A level journey.
Ma'am, you just mentioned that the entire course era or the entire tenure of A levels itself is very rigorous and it's very kind of s- stressful even for certain students. How do you think a student can effectively manage their study hours when it comes to A levels? Is there any strict or smart where they can do effective studying for A levels? Because I do know there is a very big PTSD attached to the fact that A levels is very difficult. So, is there any smart strategy that they can adopt to come over this particular thing?
Yeah, okay, ma'am. First of all, we need to know the exact study period and the exact timings of the A levels. How does it work? A level classes obviously start around August. Students start, taking the classes and all, and syllabus completion and all. And then along, I think March, the students go for their mocks, and then April the examinations and all start.
Hmm.
End of May, April the examinations start. Mostly of all the boards, mostly of boards in Pakistan. So it's hardly less than a year that the students have to prepare. So when you say that how the time management is done, the biggest difference with the students I have felt over these years is the difference between the O level studies and the A level studies. O levels gives you a lot of good 2 years. Maybe at schools even take 3 years for that. So they have that time and all, and that's the initial learning which they do. A student taking biology would just maybe do, just learn a little bit about enzymes or maybe a little bit about photosynthesis. Or a student learning about waves would learn different, how waves work and all. But in A levels, that's all the how does it evaluated, how it is
Yes.
mechanically worked, how critical thinking is done, different concepts are done. So everything is in a very detailed way, planning and evaluation of the particular concepts. And also, you cannot, first of all, this the students cannot make a plan that at the end it goes and works. It has to be consistent. First of all, it has to be consistent.
Hmm.
Whatever is taught in the school, whatever is taught in the colleges, the students must make a plan where they can revise and then give their assessments and all. If we would be waiting, the students would be waiting that okay, we would be studying in March, if somewhere around January and all, after the mocks or after the mids and all.
Yeah.
That's not how it works, and that is the biggest glitch. I have seen students taking 8 A stars, 8 A's, 7 A's, and then they go down in the A
Yeah.
level just because of this myth, just because of this, that we did good with A level, with O level 8 subjects, we will be doing good with A level 3 subjects. But those A3 subjects are, even more competitive than those eight
Yeah.
subjects.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just the way you mentioned that I've been previously working with A-level students as well, and this is a very big escalation of academic content and the detail and everything that children. Somebody very close to me who was a straight A-star student in her O levels actually result had a very pathetic result in A levels just because of the fact because for the first 4 months, or we can say the first term, which was basically from August to December, they're of the idea that we'll study,
We'll
we
study.
can
Mm.
study, we have
Mm.
been doing it, okay. So that tenure that's wasted in A levels does not come back, and they have to suffer with a little decline in their grades and everything because of it. So it's a very consistent journey they have to maintain throughout their A levels. From all of this, ma'am, is there any subject specific readiness that children can show? For example, if there is an easier subject, what should be the strategy to study that? If there is maths, for example, I was always very phobic to maths. So, what could be a strategy for a student who wants to do math because they want to opt for a degree that needs math? What should they do? Because again, we do hear that it's very difficult. The sciences and maths in A levels, they're very difficult. But how to cover up that difficult part of it? As an educationist, what do you think is your perspective towards it?
Maham, like I've already said, the first thing is that one has to be a student. From the first lecture, he or she should be knowing what actually A levels paper patterns are. And when we say about the study specific, there is obviously subject specification preparation. Students obviously have to know that if it's a essay-based paper like law, and if it's a business or a sociology or psychology, where you have to do a little bit memorization, that's a little bit different. Where you have to get your concept clarity, that's a little bit different. Obviously, when it comes to maths is daily practice. Like I remember when we were young, we were given maths homework on daily basis. Tables were told to be revised or learnt on daily basis. The reason was
Yes,
that
yes.
that maths is, the concept is same. Obviously, you have to find square root, but there are different values given to that. The student has to opt for different practice on daily basis. Yes, there are different subject specification, but not, I would not categorize that how many hours the student child should give the sciences with the time and for non-sciences with this time. But I would suggest that there should be a balanced study time where a student, whatever is taught in the school, in the college, the students must come and revise that, those obviously the notes given to them and the preparation given to them. And then obviously the past paper practice is very important about the similar questions and all. You must know what the keywords mean actually in your subjects and all.
Yes.
If you're told to explain, you need to know what explain means. If there's a question where you have to analyze the situation, you need
Yeah.
to know what analysis is. If the teacher has given the question, the examiner has given enlist, you should know what enlist means.
Exactly.
Explain, why, how, all these keywords of every different subjects are given there. But but you have to. There is no doubt that you have to learn, the formulas and these definitions and all. But then again, every subject needs time. Some need subjects to be memorized. Some sciences needs your concept clarity is important. You must know how what is the concept of physics, what is the concepts of magnets, how would they attract, how north pole south pole would attract or not, how
Hmm.
the waves will be giving the effect. I remember this ripple effect in waves, this ripple tank effect in waves was
Yeah.
always something which I thought, okay, how does it work? But then you have to get your concepts clarity and all.
Yeah.
Sciences, I still remember the practicals and all which we did in our matriculation, or at that time there wasn't any O levels at that time. That filtration concept, that distillation concepts are still clear
Yes.
in my mind because the concept was clear. How this evaporation works, how this rain is made, this all the concepts were very clear. So for sciences, obviously, the students need to make sure that their concepts are clear and then revision. And you cannot. There are lots of students who say why the examination, why the tests are taken, why there's so many exams are taken. But obviously, A levels is not like that. That you start preparing at the end. You have to have your subject specific times to be given to them, and then for the examinations, obviously, you have to study. Along with that, one of the important things which I would always tell my students is that there are lots of resources. There are lots of resources given by your relevant awarding bodies. The examiner reports are important. You must see that why your marks are deducted or what questions the students will be evaluated, so that all that helps you in your subject specific preparations and all.
We also have a very wonderful question in our chat box that says, "How can students stay consistent and avoid burnout during intensive exam preparation?" My next, the flow of questions was also regarding the same idea, that how can students basically avoid that the last 2 to 3 months of extreme stress and anxiety, because we do know that there are a lot of mental health challenges that we are facing even with the generation that we're catering now. So what can they do? How can they at least adapt to a cycle that where they don't feel that, oh my god, why am I doing this, rather than they should feel, okay, I have to get done with this.
Maham, you have to give your exams. The student has to give the exams. They know today's child is even more smarter than us. Like, just for a small example, we at this age did prepare ourselves for everything we do, don't we?
Yeah. Yeah.
Anything that any event is done, anything we have to do, any meetings are done, we prepare ourselves. But we don't. If we do it at the last time, it will be all disaster. And if we do it,
Yeah.
we do it day wise, that will be a success. First of all, as I said, the students need to understand this. Please, my lovely students, that you need to understand this, that you have to study from day one. A levels, you only struggle if you will going to wait for till the end. If you're going to wait till the end, you will struggle. The exam readiness will be very easy for you if you are ready. You will be prepared if you are going to do everything step by step, day by day, concept by concept. Because the institutions do make sure, and we will be also will make sure that the timely syllabus completion is done. But it's not the syllabus that has to be completed. You have to do the past paper practice. You have to think out of the box how the situations occur. A lot of questions are not repeated in the past papers. And second thing is that why take out that that all that burnout of the exam and that pressure of the exam when you have to do it and when you have to do it. Why?
Yes.
Because I have been talking to students, I have been thinking, and I've been seeing the students how at the last time they have been discussing this, we have done this, we have done that, that all at the last moment when you come for the examination, just be relaxed, just
Hmm.
Allah Allah kare. And I think the time only to offer prayers and offer du'as and all.
Yeah, yeah,
The exam readiness should be well done, well in time, and it should not be waited for the last moment, whichever class it is, whether that's IGCSE, whether that's A levels. If you will study at the last moments, you will not be able to clear. But this is very clear, message out to them. If you're going to prepare, yes, there can be geniuses, there are miracles. I'm not saying that the students cannot
yeah,
do it, but why study day and night and spoil everything and for because in A levels there are lots of things that the students have to do. It's not only the exams they have to give, they have to apply for the universities, they have to apply for the career profiles also, for the student
yeah.
profile also, because if they're applying abroad, there's a list of students and there's a list of requirements by the universities. If you're applying even in Pakistan, you have to prepare for your SAT, for your NETs and all. So
Yes.
that all time, that all is done during these 2 years. 2 years is rigorous and 2 years has to be very organized, and then there's all success and leisure after those years, after those two years.
You just said that that you meet so many students every day who are actually at the last moment they're even thinking, yeah, have I done this or not? It's very necessary that students know that they have to emotionally regulate themselves as well. A
Yeah.
very high achiever, an extremely good student might be panicking last moment. Okay, I might have forgotten.
Hmm.
They need to
I met, yeah, I met a child in the morning and he said, the topic I didn't prepare, the question came from that topic. So I was just thinking, I said, why did you leave that question? Because it wasn't
Yeah,
in the past. He said, because it wasn't in the past papers for the past few years. So this is what I'm saying, that ignoring the topics at times, which you think that will not be able to come, and then not doing the past paper practice, at times does give you that tough time. But again, I think the students when they start from, because I have seen even average students going successful, because if they have those study habits from day one, they will
yeah.
not be at loss. That's for sure. But obviously, if they were going to do, because A levels is not cramming. A levels you cannot typically just rectify the things and all. It has to be proper concept based, where the analytical skills are done. You have to analyze the situation. You have to evaluate. Then you have to inference the ideas and everything. So that all is part of your learning and learning and examination. So that's how
Yeah.
it is. Yeah.
All right, ma'am. While we talk about this, what do you think as an A levels instructor, as a teacher who's taking A levels, or at least initiating the idea of it to their students? What digital resources and online, stuff do we have available for students to get assistance from? Do we have any platforms where students can reach out? They have things available for their own ease and access. Is there any digital library that they can access for their ease, especially the children who need resources from here and there, depending on the subject?
Maham, a very good question. One thing is that every board that's being offered in Pakistan has their own resources also, and it's a great thing that we have a good bunch of awarding bodies in Pakistan now. Their own digital libraries, their own student teachers hubs are there, where the students are provided things. I do not want that students should be looking at 100 things, and then they even don't find answers for that. Yes, there are many things made. AI is there, a lot of things are there, but I think if the students go for, and I have seen some students even saying that we only studied for the part for the only for 2 months or so from this YouTube, from that YouTube and all. Yes, they are helpful. I'm not saying that they're not helpful.
Yeah,
I think the awarding bodies, from which they're giving the examinations, they should take the resources from them and from the teachers. There is no replacement of a teacher. There is no
yeah,
replacement of a teacher, no matter how much AI comes, no matter how much digital resources are there. There is no replacement of a teacher. Trust the teachers they're studying from, trust the mentors they have, and then and then ask them. And then other than that, yes, you can supplement them. You can find things easy for them. But rather than only relying on AI or only relying on technology, for instance, not using your own things and all, I think that doesn't help. Yes, it couples. There are lots of that. There's a whole list of these resources on the internet. But I think that if they look for their own rewarding bodies, examiner reports, the resources, there are lots of things available by them for the teachers and all. So I think they should look for that. Yeah.
One thing you mentioned that, ma'am, we have multiple awarding bodies in Pakistan now. And there is a major misconception that this particular awarding body is easier as compared to the other awarding body. So I would want you to reinforce the idea that, is it actually easy, or is it that they have a different assessment pattern? They're evaluating the same caliber basically, but in different ways. So if I be precise, basically we have modular systems and then we have annular systems, and then people or children often fall for the idea that, the modular one is going to be easier since the syllabus is less. So, what would you suggest to children who think of this sort? And if, even if we have multiple awarding bodies, what part do you think the teachers play in this? What kind of guidance can our mentors or our teachers provide to the students?
Excellent. I think the first thing, the question about the teachers was, I think, more important. As Maham, nothing is easier. First of all, the students should know that nothing is easier. Any awarding body coming to Pakistan, has gone through a very rigorous process of affiliation and approvals and accreditations and all, and they're highly respectable. Yes, if I talk about chemistry, if I talk about moles, if I talk about biology, if I talk about waves and if physics, and if I talk about photosynthesis, nothing has changed in science.
Yeah.
Criminal law, tort law, English legal system are all there in different boards in law. Directed writing, reading and writing, analysis, summaries, all this is in English in different patterns. Listening skills are analyzed, speaking skills are analyzed. It's just that the assessment patterns are different. They have different ways of evaluating a child. I would maybe evaluate a child in a different way. You would evaluate a child in a
Yeah.
different way. The ultimate is that we need to see the strengths of that child. So one misconception is that the students should know that there is nothing is easy. All the boards have their own evaluation systems, have their own the syllabi. Obviously, maybe some would go in detail, some would go in less details. One thing is that. Second thing is, I think more than the students, it is for the teachers and for the institutions who run. They should tell and they should categorize and they should tell the students that this is being offered, and they should tell that in a true in a real transparent way, to a
Yes.
transparent way, that this is accepted, this is not accepted, this has practical, this does not have practical, this is modular, because the student coming to A levels might not know it. A lot of students don't know what these things are. It is the institutes and then the teachers highly respectable, because they're the ones who make all this, who get these grades out of the children. I've seen teachers working very, very hard during this time, even going for nights and all. But they should also, be able to accept this change and, come out of the comfort zone. And if the student wants to appear from a different board, from a different assessment methodologies, they should support them. They should help them, because everything is available on the awarding bodies websites and their teacher support and student support hubs and all. So I think that is something which I would suggest, that the teachers will have to accept this change to make the students change, and go by the students' own caliber, go by the students' own strength, go by what the student requires. I think that will be easy. There's no point of struggling for years in something which a student finds difficult, whether that's a subject, whether that's a subject combination, or the university, or the progressions, or the awarding bodies. It should be the student-centric decisions which has to be made.
Ma'am, I also personally think that deciding their board, that which board they want to appear, which awarding body they want to select to appear from, needs to be done at the initial stages of their A levels or AS. Basically, once they are halfway through studying a particular kind of a knowledge bank, and then at the last moment they decide that, all right, we might just shift because, the half of the exam is taken at this moment. I think that also impacts very negatively on your results and grades, because
Yes, it does.
assessment criteria are different, the evaluation criteria are different. The children who are being who are studying on one particular board's dynamic cannot quickly shift to the other ones and immediately prepare themselves. So these decisions are also very necessary on the child's end to be made initially in the first 1 month of their AS. This shouldn't be started further up.
I totally agree, Maham. Agree. Totally agree. Exactly. They should.
Ma'am, when we talk about university progressions and opportunities, what do you think as a guidance mentor, even that students in A levels, do you think they have it easy when it comes to university progressions abroad, even and in our local universities, as compared to the students who are opting for other qualifications rather than A levels?
Maham, when they apply, because there's one thing, when they apply for the universities abroad, yes, every other university, I think all over the world, they accept the A levels qualifications. And yes, there is a difference, because as I said, that the qualification is very rigorous. The students do have those those all these skills. They are able to evaluate, critically think, and analyze the situation, and then then make up this
Hmm.
decisions and all. So I think they do get an upper edge also when they're applying abroad, because as I said, that it is worldwide recognized. There is a reason for that the A-levels qualification is recognized. The students do make a difference. Their critical thinking is something. If I, at times when I see the questions of the CIEs and the other awarding bodies and all, I get, to be very honest, I get two, three times. Okay, this is the question. This would be the answer. Every other awarding body which we offer. So the questions are rigorous. The analysis is rigorous. The students have to, for at times provide proper evidences, properly structured questions, MCQs and all. So it's not that everybody is very easy to go for that. The students are well prepared for the university qualification, for the universities abroad when they apply to Pakistan universities. But along with that, in Pakistan also, every other student, obviously, as I said, that there is a difference, but I cannot say that 100% the students, they get into the universities without studying. They have to go through another process. Obviously, I have seen students even getting 4 A stars in A levels and then still not clearing their universities entry test and all. Yes, there is a difference, though the bridge has been lessened a little bit also in the past few years. Students have to go through rigorous, not a rigorous, but a little bit more preparation for the Pakistani universities when they apply for the test and all, because the syllabi is mostly from there. But I haven't seen over these years that a student doing A levels has not been able to clear those entry
Yeah.
tests and all. So, and they are better prepared, because as I said, that the A levels qualification gives you that framework where you have to think out of the box, where you have to make an analysis. If suppose the question is like, I was just going through a review question a few weeks back, that a student had to analyze different situations of a plant and photosynthesis in different parameters of light and different, how the sound works in different areas and all. So these are those questions which make you think. I would
Yeah.
also think, okay, what would be the answer? So that
Yeah.
critical thinking and critical analysis, I think, analyzing the situation, coming up to conclusions, and interpreting and evaluation, and that those all skills, obviously, A-level students do get to know, more, and it is rigorous. So that cycle of churning and all, which prepares really well to the universities abroad and in Pakistan.
I personally think A levels is a kind of a qualification that actually, at the end of the day, the child does become an independent learner. They are thinking on their own. They do take responsibility of whatever education they're taking. In certain cases, I do know that there are students who have taken three sciences in their A levels, and they have turned out to be or extremely excellent, university students at the same time. So, do you think that it plays a part in in changing a student's personality type when it comes to a more enthusiastic learner, a more critically analyzing person? Basically, do you think that A levels plays a part in that development as well?
Yeah, Maham, one of the important key feature of A levels is that in O levels, a lot of more of a teacher and guidance and learning and all. But in A levels, the students have to self study. They have to think, for every question and all. They have to do a lot of self study themselves also. So so a lot of learning skills, a lot of soft skills with the students are not being able to prepare the other qualifications. The A-level student is able to prepare for that. They can analyze situations really well, how they work. Okay, how will the problem be solved? There was another thing which we were studying even last week also, that I've even worked on that. These. There was this a student was given this task. Okay, that a company has been making their own smartphones, and if the smartphones have to be publicized in marketing in different situations, what would you do? So there's a complete case study of 20 marks, and the child would be thinking, would do they would be analyzing different situations and all. Suppose if a student is given a situation where they have to see, okay, that if you have taken money from me and you don't return me that money
Yeah.
what would I do?
Yeah.
So at a young age, questions like these, things like these, or analysis, or the syllabus patterns and everything at this age builds develop. They make them mature. They make them something. As I said, they filter out the students
Yeah.
of these A-level qualifications, and that is why I think that makes it more beautiful and rigorous also, and competitive.
Okay, you know that right now we are in the examination cycle, which is going to end in somewhere in the mid of June, right? So
Yeah, June 9th. Yeah.
every day
Almost.
you meet a group of students who are, either extremely stressful or they are, panicking right before the paper. As an educationist, as a mother, as a mentor, what do you suggest that how should children again, this is not more related to the A levels, but coping up with the idea of A levels, basically, that how should they, cope up with the stress and anxiety that comes that their way, because it's very necessary that they will feel the pressure of, oh my god, what will be the paper pattern, or what will be the paper like, or what will be the thresholds. But how do you think, what can they do to regulate this a little better rather than
Um,
stressing out over it?
Yeah, Maham, like we said earlier, also it is which is the teachers, the parents, and the students themselves also at this time of the examination with the current situation in Pakistan. I would suggest that students should only focus on the exams, only focus on the exams. What happens after the exam, what happens before the exam? Students are more into talks that okay, what will happen now? This paper, that paper. They should only focus on the examination they're coming to give.
Yeah.
They should not be focusing, or they should not be listening to any other rumors with their spread, where they listen to, and they should be only focusing on the examination. They have studied. They have studied. The teachers have done a wonderful part. The parents have supported them. The students are coming into the examination room. First of all, as a student, because I have seen students struggling a little bit also, that when they even do not remember their paper codes at time. And I
Yeah.
tell them, okay, that you need to understand this qualification of A levels or the IGCSE from the first till the end. They must know, because when I meet the parents at the gate and they ask me how much time is the paper off, of 2 hours or 1 hour, and I say that, why did the student tell you? Why didn't your child tell you that how much long the paper was?
Yeah.
So I think when they're coming for the examination, they should only be focusing on the paper, on the examination. They have done their all their for all the time they've been studying. Give their best to try and read the questions twice. Do questions in a sequence, not in a sequence, with a sequence where they find it easier to do it. Attempt the questions. Maybe time bound, time management they must learn, because the MCQs and all, the questions of 1 hour 30 minutes also, because or even of 45 minutes also. So that even the listening skill paper they have to listen carefully. So all these skills are already developed in the examination before they come to the exams. So just during the exams, there is no need for stress. They've done their part, and then I tell them the rest, leave everything to Allah Ta'ala, and then all will be well. Do not stress themselves, and do not listen to what others say. What will happen? Yeah, this will happen, that will happen, whatever will happen, the awarding bodies will tell you. Whatever has happened will tell you.
Yeah.
Do not focus on rumors. Just focus on the academics and the examinations. This is the time where you should be only giving your best, rather than listening to other things. Do not be stressed. And then I also tell my children that if something's done wrong, if you do not find the paper
Yeah.
easy, forget that. But it's easy to say at this age,
Yeah.
of mine now, because at that time we were so stressed. Exam stress will be there, though it should not be there. The
Okay.
mental well-being of the child is more important.
While we talk about the mental well-being, do you really think that this is necessary that children, and it is for all the children, they have a routine where they sleep, where they know when to study, when they know? Because
Mm.
I personally think when the exam cycle begins, they just give up on sleeping. They're studying in the night, they're studying early in the morning as well. So I personally believe that's not coping well with their health, and they're challenging their extremes at the end of the day. So what would you suggest? Do they need to have a routine, or do they need to have a proper timing set for everything?
Yes, they must leave. Why not? Why not? Yeah. As I said earlier, that it is the study habits that the students develop, and in that the parents and the teachers have to play a critical part. The mind needs rest. The mind needs rest, and you have seen students coming without breakfast for the examination. You
Yes.
have seen students, getting. What was she asking? She was asking for Sprite, that I didn't have my I didn't have my breakfast and all. Students must have a proper diet. They must come to examination with their tummies filled. They must sleep, because those 3 hours, those 1.5 hours are stressful. I've seen parents, you do tasbih all the time for them.
Yeah.
They have been doing you have seen them
Like
yourself.
Yes, yes.
So I always tell my children that whatever has to be in the exam, it has to be done there. You need to be prepared for that. If your tummy is empty, if you've not slept well, you will be even more drowsy. How can you even, then the things couple up. Sleep is important. They must sleep. They must have their own routine. I would never say, I would urge the parents that, when the examinations are done, don't have these events, don't have these parties, which I know the parents won't plan and all. But the students need some rest time. The students come when they get the exams, go home, rest and prepare themselves for the next part. There is no point of stressing yourself and, for one thing and damaging the other thing, but they need to have a proper rest, proper diet. And one of the important things before in these 2 years, the students must have a proper extracurricular activities also. Though I would not suggest that you go and play football during the exams, but yeah, but during those 2 years of your study or that 1 year of your study, a proper extracurricular activities with your study habits will maximize your learning and you will be exam ready for that.
We have another question in our chat box that says, what is the advice you would give to your students aiming for distinctions and university scholarships? This is exactly what I was coming towards. That we have children who are actually extremely well oriented and they're extremely good high achievers, and then they want to aim for distinctions in A levels, which is basically not a piece of cake. So, what advice would you want to give them as a mentor? That what should they do? How should they plan their routines or what?
Over these years, Maham, when I talk to my teachers, one thing they say, distinction is by luck. One thing they say. I do believe, yes, I do believe it is at times it is luck, but I have seen students where we knew that she's going to take a distinction. I still remember my student. We knew that in maths she's going to take a distinction. She did take a distinction. I know a student by names who I know that he was going to take computers with distinction, and he did get computer distinction because there are two three things. One is that if you will be studying and you will be doing something extra because we come in zone 4. There are different variants of every paper 1 2 2 2 3 2 4 2, then 2 1 2, and different types of paper we're talking about. And every Pakistan is a different zone, South Asia is a different zone, the other countries, sorry, and then UK is a different zone, Australia is a different zone, Canada hai. There are lots of papers, lots of variants come, which if the student wants to aim for distinctions, we prepare our students from different variants. The mock examinations which are made for them, there's a special, because I believe that when a student has to earn something extra, he or she must go out of the way to get that. You will have to go out of the box to earn distinctions. And suppose if it's from all the papers for past 10 years papers you do from our variant, from our zone 4, no, but you're doing from zone 2 also, zone C also, zone A also for the other bodies and all. So I think preparing yourself from different zones, having the past paper practice and all, and then maintaining a routine of yours, that would help. And then going extra mile and seeing that why you have not been able to perform, even if one mark is cut, why that mark is cut, the teacher student needs to know that. But I still think that do not stress, distinction will come to you if it's destined for you. But students do make an extra effort, and whenever you make an extra effort, the students do get that. And for a normal student, just to clear A levels with good grades would be a good study habit maintained throughout the year to get you to achieve the results.
Amazing. There's a question that says, can a student change his subjects after starting? I think you've already addressed it that
No, but
initially.
there's a time. Yeah, there's a time. I would say, Maham. As I said, that I just tell you, August when these classes start. 2 weeks the students would take their initial 2 weeks. The students would take their for subject comment. I would urge students to sit in every class,
Yeah.
even if you're not interested. Sit in every class. A biology student must sit in mathematics class. A mathematics class student must sit in psychology class or sociology class to have those different subject understanding and all. And after those 2 weeks, then do not switch your subjects, because then it becomes really difficult. In September, when your classes start, September, October, November, you'll be taking your classes. December, May, then your examinations or mids would start, and the entries for the different all the boards in Pakistan, the entries go for that December, and it starts in January and February, they close. And then there's no point of changing their boards or changing their subjects. It will always make you suffer. First of your examination series, your priority should be the May June series. That okay, you start in 1 August and then you give your exams in the May June. And Khuda na khasta, if you do not clear, then you give it a retake or that afterwards. there's a complete process by all the boards which are operating in Pakistan. They have their complete process of different things in Pakistan. But again, then why when your entries are sent you, it will be if you change your subject, you would be another repeating that. So take your initial 2 months. I would suggest that students should take initial 3 months from June, July, and August. Once they give their exam, that what subject they have to choose, and if they find, because when students come to us, they even choose 4 to 5 subjects, and then when they attend the classes in the next 2 weeks, they
Yeah.
say, we are fine with 3 subjects and all. Yes, but schools, we would also be focusing that the students must opt for one language, and if he or she is capable, why not 4 subjects? But I think focus on 3 subjects and then initiate that, and then you go move ahead.
uh, Ma'am, you just mentioned that sometimes you don't score well. So we have been talking about how to score well. I would want you to put a little light on the fact that what happens if they just don't? What happens if their grades actually deteriorate? We've been talking about what to do so that they don't, but just God forbid if they do. But should
Mahan, this thing, when the results come, I, to be very honest, as a head, and I know all the principals in Pakistan must be going through the same feeling, because I have felt that that's the most toughest day when the result comes. Students who score well, they come hugging to you, and maybe also, we are very happy. But my eyes are always for the students who don't score well, because I feel myself answerable to them, and that's a very, very situation where you feel, it's a very, very, very emotional day at that time. And I tell them, okay, you tried your level best. This is not the end. My students, this is not the end. I met a student who was transferred from Karachi, and in my previous institution, he said, I want to do, and I think I told you also, he said, I want to become a doctor. I
yeah,
want to do medicine. AS where he came. And I said, if you, that, he said, I said, okay, that's plan A. And what's plan B? He said, plan B is plan A. And yeah, and when he went to the medical, there is the day result came, and I was so super happy for him, because
yeah,
but then again, there are students who have been aiming to become a doctor. I wanted to become a doctor always. I've told you this, but I didn't end up. Yeah, it's the same thing. Some things are not destined for you. You try your level best. You try your level best. But please, 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 don't waste your 3, 4 years getting to that medical degree or your engineering degree. There are hundreds of things that are available
yeah,
for you. You try your level best. Your parents try your level best. You are not a failure. You are not at all a failure. How can a student be a failure? I would never say
yeah.
that to my students. Yes, there are different patterns. There, as I said, there are different ways of getting it through to the A levels, clearing the A levels. Subject combination आप change कर लें, or if you want to, give one subject now, give one subject the other. That's a rare case. Divide your subjects when how you want to give it to them. But in those 2 years, plan your academic journey. All the institutions, the teachers, they must plan with the counselor especially. Plan the academic journey of the child, see and evaluate the student in the initial 2 months and see where does he stand. Then they take the journey, and it doesn't matter. Nobody fails. Allah,
Nobody.
yeah, nobody
Um,
fails. Yeah,
Coming to the point that you just mentioned, that again, we belong to a time where there were just 2 to 3 major options for everybody to study. A guy would either become an engineer, or a girl would become a doctor. So there were limited options that we had previously. And I remember I was a great biology student. I still give credit to my teacher back then. If she's here somewhere listening, Mama Neela, I scored a 98% in my boards out of that. I still remember I could be a doctor, but I was very phobic to blood. I know that even if I got into it,
exactly, exactly,
I could never
exactly.
complete it. So know yourself. It's fine. It's fine. There might be so many things you want to do, but then okay, there might be challenges out of it. So I've had people around me who used to flaunt their medical degrees right in front of me, and then sometimes I sit and think that I'm not doing any lesser than them. So have that
Hmm.
confidence in yourself as well. So that is very necessary for every child to know that whatever you're doing, whatever degree and qualification you're studying, that's fine. You're doing great in it. Okay.
Exactly, exactly.
More or less of this, ma'am, we'll be coming towards the closure of the entire session, the conversation. It was amazing. I'll quickly run over the questions. We have mostly answered most of them, but there was one of the major ones that we did not touch, which says that how can children improve their critical thinking and analytical skills for exams, particularly? So, what can be a master strategy for that?
One is that I think the main is that the student needs to have their concept clarity. सबसे बड़ी बात, I think the children should listen and see and understand from the teacher. Then the teacher should explain 10 times to them. The concept has to be clear. When the concept is clear, I don't think that then the students will have that problem and all. And then when the concept is clear, then you get to see things in different situations. Temperature. If suppose if I ask you, if I ask, okay, the students, okay, what would be the effect of a temperature on that plant if I make it to minus Fahrenheit, and if I make it to zero, if I make it to 100, that all, because the concept will be clear, the students will be able to understand. That is how, he or she will be able to do that. Second thing is that there, when we say in these situations, the past paper practice and the topicals and all, the topicals is not the word I would use. The past paper practice for every is paper is very special. The science is very important, because there are lots of different ideas and different examples that the examiners and the tutors have been, compiling them and giving them. That helps you analyze the situation and makes you understand that how you will have to do it. And I think along with the students, the teachers must please, it's a request, let the students ask the questions. Let the
Yes.
students ask the questions, and develop those skills from when they're at a young age. A student who will not question, who will not ask, who will not say that what how things affect in different, they will never be able to affect that. Then when you say analysis, as teachers, as students, they must see that, okay, if I get this situation, and if I analyze the situation this way, how would come it the other way. So all these skills, I think, the analysis of a situation, and when you come to a conclusion, and when you have to summarize that, and when you have to inference the idea from a situation, that is, I think, the for important is for important. And then another students who also need to develop these skills, I would always suggest to them that think out of the box. Please, please, please. The students do not need to have rote learning in any qualification, whether that's the local or international. Science never changes in any of the qualifications. As a student, you have to make sure that you analyze, you critically think about that situation in different aspects, and then you come up to those ideas and all. There is no point of cramming, and maths, how can you cram a maths from different angles and all? How can you, yes, you can understand the concept or the definition of those angles, what 90 degrees angle would, but doing the 90 degrees in this way or that way, both are important. So that is how I think the students should develop, and then the students should ask questions, and the
Yeah.
teachers will answer that questions.
I totally agree that the entire idea of making them critical thinkers, problem solvers, is let them ask questions. If we snub them there, I don't think so that we can actually let the learning lead on. Thank
Exactly.
you so much for your time, ma'am. I know you've been having crazy days nowadays, but thank you so much for your insightful remarks over everything, every question, every certain detail that you provided to your students. And I look forward to multiple other such webinars with you in the future to clear certain misconceptions that we have with level 3 A levels and the degree itself. Is there anything that you would want to say?
I think, Maham, a lot has been already said. I just want to say one thing to all the parents, to all the students, and all the teachers. Like you said, when you said this biology, a case, just an example came to me. A student that I had a student who had three sisters, and they all were doctors. She was the youngest of them. The father came to me and they said, "Isko doctor banna hi banna hai." And she said, "When I see and when I hear about veins and arteries and heart, I start vomiting. मैं नहीं बन सकती. I can't become a
Yeah.
doctor." I had to literally convince the parent, and for 6 months, when she used to go in the biology class, I had to pull her out, and she used to cry and all. It's a request. If your child does not want to become a doctor or an engineer, he or she might want to become something else. I have seen students who were said that they will not do anything, but they have done. I have seen my students going to NCA when everybody said that no, she won't be able to do anything. She's an NCA now. I have seen students who have been, they've been saying that "Ji, kuch nahi karega." He's a lawyer. He's done his degree from abroad.
Oh, wow.
Everybody, yes, everybody. I still, there are lots of names, there are lots of stories over these years. But one thing, one suggestion to everybody: let the students, let the children do, and obviously we're there to guide them. I would not say that if somebody wants to become a singer, that's a skill that he or she must sing, but there must be a degree by that
Yes.
also. But then again, you need to see what your child is good at. We as teachers need to see what the student is capable of, and then tell them, and then plan the complete academic journey. There are lots of people who will, the A-star students will go up and they will be successful. We need to hold that hand holding for every child in the class has to be done. This makes me so emotional, Maham. Yeah.
This is a topic very close to my heart as well, because I was myself a part. I can say I was a student who was suffering from this. Though
Yeah.
my parents were very cooperative with the idea that I can study anything that I want, but then you have a lot of peer pressure around you going in. The time that we belong from, opinions did matter, and we used to listen to them, at least if we did
Yeah.
not let them affect us. So this is something that I also feel that children need to know, that it's fine with whatever they want to do. The parents need to be confident that it's our child. He's going to make something out of it at the end of the day. So this is,
Help them make them to be
yeah.
successful. They do it, yeah.
Okay,
Ma'am, lovely talking to you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
thank you so much for your time and your gracious presence over here, ma'am. I always look forward to talking to you over such detailed things and topics, and we look forward to many more webinars to you. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you
Take
so much.
care.
Bye-bye. Thank you. Bye-bye. Thank you. Thank you.